Welcome to Chapter 18 on Assembly Features and the Whole Wizard. Assembly features is a topic that we need to be very careful about because assembly features in themselves are very powerful, but you can also get yourself into a lot of trouble with assembly features. Let's take a look at the list of assembly features in the interface. We've got the whole series, the whole wizard, simple holes, extruded cuts, these would be sketched cuts, revolved cuts, again sketched, swept cuts, again that would require a couple of sketches there. You can apply fillets as an assembly feature, chamfers, weld beads, and a belt or chain. Let's take a look at the whole series. This will create a series of holes that goes through several components. So let's look at the message that we start with here. Sketch the location for new holes or slot, or select existing holes or slots to use as the start, middle, or end of the series. Use the Property Manager tabs to size the start, middle, and end holes or slots. Add hardware using the Smart Fasteners tab. SolidWorks toolbox required. Okay, now to create hole positions like they're asking you to, you've got to use the sketch point, and SolidWorks automatically sets you up in the sketch point tool in a 3D sketch. You notice you can sketch on any face of any component. So you got to be, that's one way that you got to be careful. But also, see if we're going to get this lined up so it goes, this hole goes down into a part. Now we specify that we've got the hole position. We're going to want to go to the next tab, which is the hole type. So we can make a counterbore on the first part, and we're getting a preview of what's going on here as we start. So we're getting a counterbore. We can get a chamfer on the edge. We can create a slot. Select your standard for what you want to use as the standard for this part, and then the size and type of bolt that you want to put into the counterbore. You're not sizing the hole directly, you're sizing it through the head type of the hardware that's going to go into it. And what kind of fit do you want? Close, normal, or loose. You can add additional head clearance, so this would sit the head of the bolt farther down into the top part. And these are all the specifications for the first part. Now, you can move on to the middle parts, which would be anything between the first part and the last part. And you can have a through hole or a slot, however you specify this. Then you specify the last part. Is this a tapped hole, bottoming tapped? And again, you specify the size. Now, when you're finished creating this, SolidWorks goes through and it puts a feature in the Assembly Feature Manager, but it also adds features to the individual parts. So if I open up this part, it has a new feature in here for that hole. Now, if you put more components in here, for example, a screw, a big old bolt that's supposed to go in this hole, and you made it up to this hole, then you're adding an additional mate group, and SolidWorks is going to have to solve the assembly multiple times. So this is the kind of thing that looks really convenient, but it's going to get you in trouble because you're mating up to a time-dependent feature in the Assembly Feature Manager. You'd be better off with a sketch up here and use the sketch to locate both the hole and the hardware once it's placed. If you use any face of the history-based feature, which is placed after the mates, you're going to run into a slowdown for your assembly. So your assembly will load slower. Anytime you have to rebuild the assembly, that's going to happen more slowly. You just really need to be careful about using any type of assembly features, especially if you're going to make reference to those assembly features with something that comes later. You're better off, again, having a layout sketch that drives the location of the holes and the hardware. I don't mean to scare you going into this chapter, but these are just some of the things that you need to know before you get too excited about all of this great functionality. I hope you spend some time in the chapter and read through some of the options that are available. Make sure you're using things that are saving you time and you're using them in the most efficient way. Best of luck. We'll see you in the next chapter.